Hey there, Postal here. So today we're taking out the Key 102. And we were hoping to have an XP54 on the enemy team. Well, we'll just have to deal with the repercussions. Why were we looking for an XP54? Well, XP54 is broken, right? We all know that. It is completely overpowered, and it doesn't seem like Wargaming really wants to make a change. Or if they do, they're just taking their sweet ass time to fix it. The reality is the XP54 is completely messing up tier 6 matchmaking whenever it's in a battle. Not only is it messing it up just if you actually get a competent pilot in it, it's still messing it up even if there's a bad pilot flying in the XP54, right? Think about it. When you see an XP54, you are completely focused on what do I need to do to counter that, yada yada yada, all that kind of stuff. There's been plenty of times where I have gone up against a XP54 and gotten myself killed because I was like, oh man, I've got this perfect line of sight on him. Crap, there's a multi-role fighter coming in, but let me kill this XP54. And the multi-role fighter kills me before I can even do anything, right? Which I wouldn't normally do in any other circumstance. I would just, recognize the danger of the multi-role fighter and act accordingly. But no, XP54 must kill. And so, that kind of stuff can throw off entire battles simply because we're not playing how we normally would, because we know leaving an XP54 alive will completely kill any chance of winning. Right now I'm fooling around with this mosquito simply because I know I've got the... Nope, he's going to crash into me and I'm going to die. Knowing that can severely outmaneuver him, and unfortunately I had too many things to deal with at one time over there. But that's my first lesson when it comes to going up against an XP54, is don't just focus on the XP54. Yeah, the XP54 is the overpowered and broken plane that you're going against, but it's not the only plane. And there's been plenty of times that I've gone against planes that either super strong pilots and just know the other person that's behind the that's in the cockpit is going to completely own me, or they're in a plane that completely own my plane. It doesn't need to be an XP54. If I'm in an FJ1 and I see there's an 1101 and a F86 on the enemy team, guess what I'm doing? I'm not throwing myself up against those planes, just in the same way that you shouldn't just throw yourself up against an XP54. What we should be doing first and foremost is trying to take advantage of the interactions that you do have. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean, we want to make sure that we are not dying here, Postal. We are being effective. Can you go somewhere else? Very often XP54 pilots just hang out in one sector. That's kind of ridiculous. They get 1 million freaking personal points. They go to the perceived best sector and they just camp there like a defensive fighter. And you can take advantage of that. Go to the other sectors. Capture the other 4 sectors. And by doing that, you're still able to set yourself up for the win, right? Take advantage of them not paying attention. If you are stuck in the same sector as them, try to not be the only friendly that's in that sector. What we want to do in that kind of situation is take advantage of them when they're distracted and hit them then, right? What we don't want to have happen is if you're stuck in some piddly ass tier 5 plane or a not strong enough tier 6 plane, you don't want to just keep throwing yourself to the wolves trying to attack a plane, an XP54, that you might not be able to come out on top against. Granted, there are some bad XP54 pilots, but the vast majority of them overplay that plane so they can get their 92% win rate, because that's really, really important. And so you have to assume that you're going to run into a very seasoned pilot who's going to know what he's doing. And you just have to take advantage of distractions more than your plane's abilities. Hope that makes sense. Like right now, I'm not going to try to turn fight with a Spitfire. Why would I do that? Doesn't make any sense. In the same manner that you don't try to turn fight when you're in a heavy fighter versus an XP54. Now, there definitely are some planes that can counter an XP54. A decent amount of fighters can counter it, to be honest. And even some stronger multi-role fighters can. But I think the problem that we run into in those situations is it's not that your plane can or can't counter that XP54. It's that we just solely focus on taking out an XP54 to the point of our own death. We're actually making it worse because we're like, I must focus down this XP54. And that's not in reality. It's the same reason why I highly encourage you never quit a battle. Even when you think the odds are 100% against you, you don't quit on a battle because you get better by trying to overcome the odds. There's been plenty of battles that I've had that I've lost to pilots that are just better than me. Or people that are in planes that are better than me and I just couldn't overcome the odds, right? But those battles where I stick it out and I overcome those 90%ers. And I mean 90%ers that are like 90% at every plane, not just, 92% at their XP54. I mean like good pilots. And when you're able to overcome them, even if they get, 25,000 personal points and you get 9,000 in the win, that feels good. Like you had to outwin them by strategy, right? You had to outwin them by not crashing into the ground. Holy crap. Anyway, and so, it's those kind of situations that make me feel really good about my skill set when I'm able to overcome terrible odds. Terrible odds sometimes. I specifically remember a time when we were going up against an XF90 and an EF131. And we took out two... I think we were either in two BVP 215s or we were in two F7Us, or we might have been in a combination of the two. Clearly underpowered in the situation, although both those planes can be rather strong, but against an EF131 and an XF90, not so much. The enemy team, both of them got above 18,000 personal points. Both of us got less than 12,000. But we were able to just keep putting pressure on them, keep capping out sectors, keep moving. And by doing that, we were able to overcome the odds. And those odds are going to be against you more often than not. We know that, right? They just are. And it's up to you to try to find a way to overcome that. Sometimes you can't be better. Sometimes you got to be smarter, right? Can't always have the best plane out there. And goodness knows, not everybody... There's only one best pilot, right? So you're always going to be worse than everybody else out there. At some point, you're going to just get a bad battle. It's not about your skill set in every single battle. It's not about your plane in every single battle. It's about what you can do to overcome the odds. Try to overcome the odds. And I guarantee it's going to be the best game you've had when you overcome those odds. Man, it's a freaking rush, right? Let's head back. I realized as I'm having this conversation about trying to overcome the odds, and my thought perspective is, when you get that XP54 on the enemy team, or you just get that really good pilot, yada, 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 and what you've got to do to overcome that. And as this screen was loading, I was realizing, holy crap, there's probably people that run into me and have that same thought process, like, screw this, I'm out. The reality is I'm not a great pilot. I think I'm above average for sure. I can't say I'm average, but there's definitely people out there that I run into and I'm like, whoop, crap, they're better than me and I know it. Typically, if I remember a pilot's name, it's because they're better than me. You've ran into those and you're like, oh crap, I know that guy. He kicked my ass last time. He's probably going to kick my ass this time. And I realized for some pilots out there, I'm that tough-ass pilot to go against. If you see me on the enemy team and you're not able to overcome my skill set, what do you need to do? Well, this is a prime example. This entire battle, right? We had an A6M2, a low altitude, very, very turny fighter. That was what was on our team. On the enemy team, we had two heavy fighters. These heavy fighters can tear apart an A6M2 all day. They can't tear me apart. Although they have the opportunity if they're paying attention to what's going on. Just in a direct one-on-one engagement, a key 102 is going to come out on top. So what would you do if you're in a bow fighter? What would you do if you're in a mosquito? The only time I would go up against a key 102 in either of those types of planes is if the key 102's engaged in another target and I see it's on relatively low health. Doesn't need to be on like 0 health, but if it's on full health, maybe, if I've got a good angle of attack, you've got to be mindful of the situations, right? Don't just go throwing yourself at a key 102, especially if you run into it and you go, wow, that guy completely owned me. If you don't know who you're going against, if it's some random pilot that you haven't met before, I need to be aware of that he's paying attention. I think one of the things that separates me from a lot of other pilots is paying attention to the map, paying attention to what's going on. I always joke around, map awareness is OP, and it is. Because if I was in that bow fighter, if I was in that mosquito, I'd be paying attention to that key 102 at all times. I would be going to different sectors where he's not at. I'm going to go capture that sector. Capturing that sector is going to still help us win the game, right? So it's not like taking the easy way out. I'm trying to win the battle. And if I get stuck where I have to be into an engagement with that 102, let me dictate the engagement. If I'm in that bow fighter, let me take advantage of my bombs and rockets. I can do all kinds of ground damage, right? Let me do that. When I see that he's distracted, go for the key 102. If I gotta go after him, I gotta go after him. But you want to be able to dictate the engagement. And the same thing happens when you're against an XP54 pilot. Same thing happens when you're against just a really good pilot, somebody that's better than me. It's not about what do I need to do to kill that really good pilot. What do I need to do to kill that key 102? That XP54. It's about what can I do to win the battle. And we tend to combine those into one thought process. Killing the key 54, I'm combining the planes now. Killing the XP54, killing me in a key 102 does not win you the battle, unless it's after squall line. And even then it doesn't win you the battle. But that's not the end game, right? The end game is getting more capture points than the enemy team. Or getting them sooner than they can get them. That's what wins you the battle. You could die 5 times. I've won battles where I've died 5 times. Just don't die after squall line, right? And the key to the battle isn't killing that enemy great pilot or killing that XP54, killing that B-29C. That's not going to win you the battle. What's going to win you the battle is capturing the sectors as quickly as you can, defending when it's appropriate, killing planes when it makes sense, and avoiding confrontation when that makes sense. There's so much more nuance to the battle than just XP54 is on the enemy team, game over, I quit. Postal Monkey's on the enemy team, he's going to kill me 12 times, I quit. Then don't run into Postal Monkey. If you can't beat me straight up, then why are you keep throwing yourself at me? And whether it's because the plane I'm in or because the pilot I am, why would you keep doing that? All you're doing is you're feeding me, and you're doing a disservice to the rest of your team. Go to a different sector. I can't be everywhere. The greatest pilots and pilots that are a hell of a lot better than me can't be everywhere at once. You can overcome the EF-131s and the B-29Cs and the XP-54s by being strategic about what you're doing. Send your friendlies after those guys, right? Use the old classic F4 key, just F4. Don't combine it with any other keys. To have your friendlies target that particular enemy aircraft, right? Use your tools. Use your tools to overcome, and you're still going to lose some of those battles, but you're going to start winning a lot more battles than you were winning previously. And on top of that, you're going to be learning new skill sets, and you're going to be just getting better at those interactions. And like I said, I mentioned this already once or twice. It's a great feeling when you're able to overcome somebody that you know is a better pilot than you. It's going to be a great feeling when you overcome the XP-54 because you know that's an easy win plane, right? And so by having those kind of tactics, by not getting bogged down by the fact that somebody's in a plane that's better than you, or that you're going against a pilot that you know is better than you, by not getting stuck in that and realizing that there's a bunch of other planes on the enemy team that you can kill, there's a bunch of other enemy planes that could screw it up, or heck, there's been times where a really good pilot had a bad game and they had to be carried by somebody of lesser skill. That happens, right? You want to try to do everything you can in the battles to overcome the situation, and think it's not just about that one plane or that one pilot or that one flight. Do what you can, and that's all you can do. Try your hardest. Try to learn from interactions. Try to see what's best for you. It might take you changing your equipment layout on a plane. You might have to change your thought process on how you interact with a certain plane, and that's going to change from battle to battle. You know, there's some battles where I'm dropping my bombs every time I get the opportunity. There's a battle like today in the Key 102 where I only dropped them once, I think. And, you know, that's just different battles are going to have different results and different processes. And you have to realize that. Every battle is not the same, and you've got to approach each battle completely differently. So when I hop in, the first thing I do is I look what's on the enemy team. Okay, I know I've got 2 fighters I've got to deal with, heavy fighters I've got to deal with. I knew I was going to come out on top in those interactions as long as I wasn't dicking around. Fortunately, I dicked around for a second there, but, you know, on paper, 1v1, I can take these guys on, and I know it. So then I look at what the rest of the bots are. We've got some multi-rolls that could be a pain in the butt. We've got some fighters that really shouldn't be too much of a pain in the butt. I knew I was going to be top dog in this battle. It just mattered what the Mosquito and the Bowfighter brought to the game and how difficult they might have made my life, right? That's the first step. Next, I look at my team. I did a piss poor job of that because I didn't realize I had a 0 on my team, but I think I was just caught up in the XP54 thought process. That's, you know, you got to know what you're up against. You know what plane you're in, what it can or can't do. If I was up against an XP54, my thought process would be different, right? Yes, I wasn't going to hide from him, whoever it was, but that's because I know my plane's capabilities and I know my capabilities. But I wasn't also going to just go diving after an XP54 and go potentially give the game up right away. My thought process is when I'm going against a plane like that is when I run into him. I want to make sure I'm dictating that engagement, though. Sometimes it's just more important to get the other sectors, right? There's been plenty of games where I've won just by capping out while somebody else holds down one sector. Hold that sector. I got 4 others to go cap. Enjoy your loss. You know, it's about that mental attack, not about the physical attack, more often than not. I didn't even talk about how good of a game I had. 22 kills, 5,300 damage to the sky. Not a big deal. 1 bomb actually hit. I've captured 5 sectors. That's what wins the game. Capturing those sectors, getting those capture points. Yeah, the 22 kills, it looks nice. It's, take a screenshot and post it in Discord kind of thing. Actually, I should do that. But it's not necessarily what wins you the game. I mean, it can. But capturing sectors is the base requirement. ABC, always be capturing. I know some of my videos kind of get lost in that because the reality is I know there's games where I'm just completely stomping the enemy team and I'm like, let me let off the gas a little bit and see if I can get some extra personal points out of it. That should not be everybody's thought process because at any given moment that can flip. What are you going to do in that situation? If you're trying to raise your win rate, then you're not worried about personal points. Then just stomp them. Hit the gas and keep going, right? So it just matters what your end result is. I hope this is helpful. Kind of a soapbox kind of situation here. I wasn't sure if I'd even use this battle considering there wasn't actually an XP54. I'll keep trying to look for XP54s, but hopefully this game and the discussion points were helpful. And otherwise, I'll catch you in the next one. Sorry for the little rant. Key 102 though is a very nice plane if you want to get it. 37 millimeters, right? Oh my goodness, no, it's not 37. It's 57, yes. It's got a short range 57 millimeter cannon on it. It hurts like hell, even XP54s. It's actually got longer range than XP54, so that could be really good on a head-on if you're willing to risk it. For the biscuit. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.